Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a book that has been called, well, just about everything, from the very word of God to a collection of ancient myths. But, regardless of what you believe, one thing is absolutely undeniable. No other text has shaped the course of human history quite like the Bible.
So let's just start with a little thought experiment. I want you to imagine one single book that has shaped entire civilizations, that's inspired some of the most timeless art we have, and that continues to influence the lives of billions of people generation after generation. That book? Well, it exists. It's the Bible.
I mean, if you just measure a book's influence by the sheer numbers, the Bible is just in a league of its own. It is the most purchased, the most translated, and for sure the most impactful book in all of history. And as we're about to see, the evidence for its preservation and its accuracy is, well, it's unlike anything else from the ancient world.
But come on, the numbers only tell part of the story, right? What really sets this book apart from every other one? How in the world has it survived for millennia, and why does its message still resonate so powerfully today? Let's find out.
Okay, so the first key to really understanding the Bible is to realize it's not a single book at all. It's something far more complex, and frankly, far more fascinating.
I want you to think of it more like a library, one that was built over more than 1,000 years. Its texts were written down in 3 totally different languages, Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek, and they capture this incredible story of humanity through the rise and fall of ancient empires.
In this library, it contains 66 separate books. Yeah, 66 different literary styles, different contexts, and different voices. You'll find everything in there, from epic history and super detailed law codes to the most profound poetry and deeply personal letters.
And get this, those 66 books were written by around 40 different authors. And these weren't, professional writers sitting in some office. They were kings and fishermen, prophets and physicians, scholars and shepherds, writing from palaces, from prisons, and even from exile.
Now here's the real paradox, the thing that's so amazing. With so many authors from so many different walks of life, across so many centuries, you'd totally expect a chaotic jumble of competing ideas, right? But instead, what you get is these 66 books weaving together to tell one single overarching story, the incredibly complex relationship between a creator and humanity.
So, how did this library, written on fragile stuff like papyrus and animal skin, survive thousands of years of wars, fires, and just the simple decay of time? The story of its preservation is, honestly, a miracle in itself.
For centuries, we basically had to take it on faith that the copies we had were accurate. But then, in the 20th century, this monumental discovery happened, the Dead Sea Scrolls. These texts were over 2,000 years old, hidden away in caves. And when scholars compared them to manuscripts from 1,000 years later, they matched with stunning accuracy. This was hard proof of an unbelievably meticulous preservation process.
And just to put this in perspective for you, let's look at the New Testament. For a famous classic work like Homer's Iliad, we have around 650 surviving ancient manuscripts. That's a good number. But for the New Testament, we have over 24,000. The sheer volume of evidence is in a completely different category. It's not even close. Look, this level of preservation doesn't just happen by accident. It tells a story all its own, a story of generations of people who believed these words were so important, so vital, that they dedicated their lives to copying them with near-perfect accuracy and protecting them, sometimes at all costs.
So, what we have is a massive, miraculously preserved ancient library. But you know what? None of that would matter if the words inside didn't actually speak to us. So, why does this ancient text still feel so incredibly relevant in the 21st century?
The answer, I think, is that the Bible speaks directly to the core of what it means to be human. It grapples with the exact same questions we ask ourselves today. What's my purpose? How do I deal with suffering? What's right and what's wrong? The settings might be ancient, sure, but the dilemmas, they're absolutely timeless.
A huge part of its power comes from its raw honesty. The heroes of the Bible are deeply, deeply flawed. The stories are just filled with betrayal, doubt, and suffering. It doesn't give you easy answers or some sanitized view of life, which is what makes its ultimate message of hope feel so earned and so real.
And then beyond all that human insight, the Bible is woven together with these really unique literary threads. You've got prophecy, where events are foretold with frankly startling precision. And then there's this thing called typology, where people and events in the Old Testament serve as patterns or foreshadows for what happens in the New. It's these intricate layers that create this unified tapestry, which, for many, points to a single divine author behind all the human hands.
All of this, it all leads to one final, powerful idea. This ancient library is not some museum piece gathering dust. It's a living, breathing document whose legacy is still being written in our world, right now.
So when you really step back and you see the whole picture, this library, written over 1,000 years, preserved against all odds, telling one unified story through dozens of different voices, you start to get it. You begin to understand why the Bible is truly a book like no other.
We've looked at the what and the why behind the Bible's uniqueness, but that leaves us with the ultimate question, doesn't it? The how. How did these words, written on fragile scrolls, survive the burning of cities, the scattering of entire peoples, and just the sheer crushing weight of time itself? Well, that incredible story of survival is exactly what we'll uncover next.